Welcome back, scholars, to the reading of The Tale of Despereaux. We are on chapter 28. In the last chapters, we were introduced to a new character, Miggery Sow, who is a young girl who has lost both of her parents, and she is working for a man who she calls Uncle. And she has recently seen the king and queen and Princess P ride by on horses, and she decides that they are beautiful, amazing people, and that she wants to be a princess herself. So we will see where we are taken in the Tale of Despereaux. We are in chapter 28, To the Castle. Years passed. Meg spent them scrubbing the kettle and tending to the sheep, and cleaning the hut and collecting innumerable, uncountable, extremely painful clouts to the ear. In the evening, spring or winter, summer or fall, Meg stood in the field as the sun set, hoping that the royal family would pass before her again. Gore, I would like to see that little princess another time, wouldn't I? And her little pony, too, with his tippy-toed feet. This hope, this wish, that she would see the princess again, was lodged deep in Meg's heart. Lodged firmly right next to it was the hope that she, Miggery Sow, could someday be a princess herself. The first of Meg's wishes was granted, in a roundabout way, when King Philip outlawed soup. The king's men were sent out to deliver the grim news, to collect from the people of the kingdom of Dor their kettles, their spoons, and their bowls. Reader, you know exactly how and why this law came to pass, so you would not be as surprised as Uncle was when, one Sunday, a soldier of the king knocked on the door of the hut that Meg and Uncle and the sheep shared and announced that soup was against the law. Remember, soup is against the law because the queen died and the king decided that he would outlaw soup. How's that? Said Uncle. By royal order of King Philip, repeated the soldier. I am sent here to tell you that soup has been outlawed in the kingdom of Dor. You will, by order of the king, never again consume soup, nor will you think of it or talk about it. And I, as one of the king's loyal servants, am here to take from you your spoons, your kettle, and your bowls. But that can't be, said Uncle. Nevertheless, it is. What'll we eat? And what'll we eat with? Cake, suggested the soldier, with a fork. And I wouldn't be that lovely, said Uncle, if we could. And wouldn't that be lovely, said Uncle, if we could afford to eat cake? The soldier shrugged. I am only doing my duty. Please hand over your spoons, your bowls, and your kettle. Uncle grabbed hold of his beard. He let go of his beard and grabbed the hair on his head. Unbelievable, he shouted. I suppose next the king will be wanting my sheep and my girl, seeing as those are the only possessions I have left. Do you own a girl? Said the soldier. I do, said Uncle. A worthless one, but still, she is mine. Ah, said the soldier. I am afraid it is against the law, too. No human may own another. But I paid for her fair and square, with a good laying hen, a handful of cigarettes, and a blood-red tablecloth. No matter, said the soldier. It is against the law to own another person. Now, you will hand it over to me, and if you please, your spoons, your bowls, your kettle, and your girl. Or if you choose not to hand over these things, then you will come with me to be imprisoned in the castle dungeon. Which will it be? And that is how Miggery Sow came to be sitting in a wagon full of soup-related items next to a soldier of the king. Do you have parents? Said the soldier. I will return you to them. Eh? Ma! Shouted the soldier. Dead, said Meg. Your pa? Shouted the soldier. I ain't seen him since he sold me. Right, I'll take you to the castle then. Gore, said Meg, looking around the wagon in confusion. You want me to paddle? To the castle, shouted the soldier. I'll take you to the castle. The castle? Where the itty-bitty princess lives? That's right. Gore, said Meg. I aim to be a princess, too, someday. That's a fine dream, said the soldier. He clucked to the horse and tapped to the reins, and they took off. I am happy to be going, said Meg, putting a hand up and gently touching one of her cauliflower ears. Might as well just be happy, seeing as it doesn't make a difference to anybody but you if you are or not, said the soldier. We will take you to the castle, and they will set you up fine. You will no longer be a slave. You will be a paid servant. Eh? Said Meg. You will be a servant, shouted the soldier, not a slave. Gore, said Meg, satisfied. A servant I will be, not a slave. She was 12 years old. Her mother was dead, her father had sold her, her uncle, who wasn't her uncle at all, had clouted her until she was almost deaf. and she wanted more than anything in the world to be a little princess wearing a gold crown and riding in a high-stepping white horse. Reader, do you think that it is a terrible thing to hope when there really is no reason to hope at all? Or is it, as the soldier said about happiness, something that you might just as well do, since, in the end, it really makes no difference to anyone but you? Okay, so the soldier who came to collect all of the soup items also realized that Uncle was not allowed to have Miggery Sow, so he's taking her back to the castle where she will be a paid servant. And I wonder if she will get to meet the princess. We are in chapter 29. Start with the curtsy and finish with the thread. Miggery Sow's luck continued. On her first day on the job as a castle servant, she was sent to deliver a spool of red thread to the princess. Mind, said the head of the serving staff, a dour woman named Louise, she is royalty, so you must make sure you curtsy. How's that? Shouted Meg. You must curtsy, shouted Louise. Gore, said Meg. Yes'm. She took the spool of thread from Louise and made her way up the golden stairs to the princess's room, talking to herself as she went. Here I am, off to see the princess, me, Miggery Sow, seeing the princess up close and personal like, and first off I must curtsy, because she is the royalty. At the door to the princess's room, Meg had a sudden crisis of confidence. She stood a moment, clutching the spool of thread and muttering to herself. Now, how did that go? She said. Give the princess the thread and then give her a curtsy. No. First the curtsy and then the thread. That's it. Gore, that's right. That's the order. Start with the curtsy and finish with the thread. She knocked at the princess's door. Enter, said the P. Meg, hearing nothing, knocked again. Enter, said the P. And Meg, still hearing nothing, knocked yet again. Maybe, she said to herself, the princess ain't to home. But then the door was flung wide, and there was the princess herself, staring right at Miggery Sow. Gore, said Meg, her mouth hanging open. Hello, said the P. Are you the new serving maid? Have you brought me my thread? Curtsy I must, shouted Meg. She gathered her skirts, dropped the spool of thread, stuck out a foot, and stepped on the spool, rocked back and forth for what seemed quite a long time, both to the watching princess and the rocking Meg, and finally fell to the floor with a Miggish thud. Whoopsie, said Miggery Sow. The P could not help it. She laughed. That's all right, she said to Meg, shaking her head. It's the spirit of the thing that counts. How's that? Shouted Meg. It's the spirit of the thing that counts, shouted P. Thank you, miss, said Meg. She got slowly to her feet. She looked at the princess. She looked down at the floor. First the curtsy and then the thread, Meg muttered. Pardon? Said the P. Gore, said Meg, the thread. She dropped to her hands and knees to locate the spool of thread. When she found it, she stood back up and offered it to P. I brought you your thread, didn't I? Here's Meg falling as she trips over the thread. Lovely, said the princess, as she took the thread from Meg. Thank you so much. I cannot seem to hold on to a spool of red thread. Every one I have disappears somehow. Are you making a thing? Asked Meg, squinting at the cloth in P's hand. I am making a history of the world. My world, said the P. In a tapestry, see? Here is my father, the king, and he is playing the guitar because that is something he loves to do and does quite well. And here is my mother, the queen, and she is eating soup because she loved soup. Soup, Gore, that's against the law. Yes, said the princess, my father outlawed it because my mother died while she was eating it. Your ma's dead? Yes, said the P. She died just last month. She bit her bottom lip to stop it from trembling. Ain't that the thing, said Meg. My ma is dead, too. How old were you when she died? Old was I? Said Meg, taking a step back away from the princess. I'm sorry then. No, how old? How old were you? Shouted the P. Not but 6, said Meg. I'm sorry, said the princess. She gave Meg a quick, deep look of sympathy. How old are you now? 12 years. So am I, said the princess. We're the same age. What is your name? She shouted. Miggery Sow, but most just calls me Mig. And I saw you once before, princess. You passed me by on a little white horse. On my birthday it was. And I was in the field with Uncle's sheep, and it was sunset time. Did I wave to you? Asked the princess. Eh? Did I wave? Shouted the P. Yes, nodded Meg, but you didn't wave back, said the princess. "I did," said Meg. "Only you didn't see me. Some day I will sit on a little white horse and wear a crown and wave. Some day," said Meg, and she put up a hand to touch her left ear. "I will be a princess too." "Really?" said the pea, and she gave Meg another quick, deep look, but said nothing. When Meg finally made her way back down to the golden stairs, Louise was waiting for her. "How long," she roared, "did it take you to deliver a spool of thread to the princess?" "Too long?" gasped Meg. "That's right," said Louise, and she gave Meg a good clout to the ear. "You are not destined to be one of our star servants. That is already abundantly clear." "No, ma'am," said Meg. "That's all right, although, because I aim to be a princess." "You, a princess? Don't make me laugh." This, reader, was a little joke on Louise's part, as she was not a person who laughed, ever. Not even as a notion as ridiculous as Miggery Sow becoming a princess. Okay, so the two questions I have for you now are, and I remember I want you to either talk about these questions with someone who is listening to this book with you or to write them down and send them to your teacher. The first question is, what has changed for Miggery Sow? The second question is, how do you think Miggery Sow feels now that she has met the princess in person? So pause this video. Okay, now we can go over them. So the first thing, what has changed for Miggery Sow? So since the soldier came to their house and he told Uncle that Uncle was not allowed to have Miggery Sow, she has since then gone to the castle and become a servant. So her life has changed a lot, right? So she's going from living in this house that she doesn't like, now she's in the castle. And the second question is, how do you think Miggery Sow feels now that she has met the princess in person? So we're just kind of thinking, what do you think Miggery Sow is thinking? I think that because Miggery Sow wanted to meet the princess so badly, remember that one time that she saw her riding her horse? I think she's probably really excited that she's meeting the princess in person. Okay, so that was our reading of the Tale of Despereaux for today. I hope you enjoyed it. We'll be back again. Bye, scholars.